The African Continental Free Trade Area is something that African leaders have worked for decades. On January 1, 2021, 55 countries in Africa are coming together and forming a single free trade area. This is a historic agreement, and in this video we're going to talk about just 3 topics on this. We're going to talk about the 3 amazing facts about the African Continental Free Trade Area. I'm going to talk about the 3 amazing opportunities that are arising out of this, and I'm going to talk about the 3 possible obstacles that I think African leaders and the African people and their businesses will face as we try to implement the African Continental Free Trade Area. Of course, starting with the facts. Fact number 1 is that this is a historic deal. Never anywhere in the world have we seen a deal this big. 55 sovereign nations coming together. We're talking of 1.3 billion people coming under a common free trade area. We're talking about a GDP of 3.4 trillion US dollars when these countries come together. Fact number 2 is that there will be rapid economic growth that will be induced because of this deal. In the past 5 years, 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, according to the IMF, have already been in Africa. And this is something that has happened before we even had a free trade area for the continent. Consider that these economies and some other economies that were lagging become part of this $3.4 trillion market, which has reduced barriers and more efficient trade. You're going to see that more African economies are actually going to grow robustly out of this. You're going to have wage growth that has never been seen in the history of the African continent. 10.5% predicted wage growth for women. This is amazing. Number 3, you're going to have massive poverty alleviation. 30 million Africans brought out of extreme poverty in the near future when this deal starts working out. An interesting fact on this poverty alleviation point is that about 70% of people who are actually involved in cross-border trading are women on the African continent. When you start to bring down these tariffs and bring down these non-tariff barriers, you will actually see that these cross-border traders are going to have more profits. And as research has shown, women tend to direct their profits closer to the families and to the local businesses, and they tend to spend it and reinvest it in their economies. Because of this, you're going to see a massive boost in economic living, and of course an alleviation of poverty as these cross-borders and as these cross-border businesses get more profits and can achieve higher growth due to the African Continental Free Trade Area. Moving to the 3 opportunities that are there. The first opportunity is an opportunity for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs should realize how amazing this is. It used to be not so easy for a guy sitting in Zimbabwe to just go cross the border to Botswana to go and try to figure out how to trade with Botswana counterparts and try to export the products they are producing or the services that they are producing to Botswana. But because of this, you will have an amazing opportunity for young entrepreneurs to be able to cross borders and try to figure out ways in which they can do business. Of course, an interesting part of this is the Futures Report, which has already been produced by the African Union and the World Bank, in which they bring out voices of young entrepreneurs, artists, and young activists who are advocating for trade, who are talking about their experiences and the opportunities that they are looking forward to as the African Continental Free Trade Area comes into play. A link will be provided below of the Futures Report. Opportunity number 2. This opportunity is specifically, I think, for businesses. There is an online platform that's called the African Trade Observatory, which is an interesting platform that allows businesses sitting from wherever they are, as long as they have access to the internet, to actually figure out where opportunities are on the African continent. Countries are going to be posting out their economic statistics. They're going to be posting out things that they import and export out. And because of this, businesses are going to use this to be able to figure out where the opportunities are for them to export. If they had been producing a product that has been going to South Africa and to Botswana, but did not know that there could be such an opportunity in Chad for them to export, they're just going to log on to this African Observatory platform and figure out that there's actually an opportunity for them to export to other African countries which they didn't know about before. The third opportunity that I see out of this is for all the stakeholders. There is a platform for all stakeholders which is called tradebarriers.africa. It's an online platform. You can access it from wherever you are on the World Wide Web. And of course, with this platform, anyone from every part of the continent, whether you're a trade activist, whether you're a country, whether you're a business, or whether you're just an entrepreneur, can be able to log on once the African Continental Free Trade Area starts and to register their complaints. When you register it on this platform, in the Secretariat in Ghana, the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat in Ghana, they have a task force that will investigate your complaint. Once they investigate and verify your complaint that these obstacles are actually there and that you're having problems, people trading smoothly with one country or the other on the continent, and then they will take up that and they will contact the trade ministry in the country that is concerned, and they have frameworks and a timetable to say this complaint should have been resolved by this. And they will push out this country and definitely find a way to smoothen out everything so that the trade becomes easier for everyone else. 3 possible obstacles. The first obstacle that I see is that you're going to have massive interference from other outside players who are trying to influence African countries. Outside political players, of course, will realize that the African Continental Free Trade Area is just the first step of Africa coming together economically. What happens, of course, after the African Continental Free Trade Area becomes a reality? The next thing that happens is that Africa will band together and they will demand that they have the same deal for every African country. This is the next step. If we get to the utopia, to the point where the 55 African countries would sit down and would send one trade representative to talk to China or the United States, then you're going to see that there will be a massive force and there will be a possibility for us to actually negotiate good trade deals. Possible obstacle number 2, of course, will be that there is a possibility that there could be a lack of political will as this process gets smoothened out and as we do more negotiations to make sure that the Continental Free Trade Area actually does work. Countries that are more industrialized might be resistant to opening up their economies totally so that other smaller countries can bring their goods and can also trade with their citizens and with their corporations. Of course, this is something that can be smoothened out, and this is something that if there is enough power and if there is enough push from the majority of the continent's 55 countries, then you're going to see that over long term, this possible obstacle can be smoothened out and might not become a big factor after all. Obstacle number 3, there is massive corruption in most of the border posts on the continent. And the problem is that some people have been gaining for a very long time because they have been border officials and they have been trying to extort the public. They have been trying to extort some businesses that are trying to bring in goods and services, whatever they are trying to bring in into these countries for trade. Of course, corruption is not the easiest of things to root out of the continent. And you're going to have this massive pushback of some of these officials or some of these people and businesses who stand to gain because of these corrupt practices. Some of these bureaucrats, some of the bureaucracies in the countries, and even some other players who might not be actually in front of the countries, but they have been sponsoring this protectionism as a way for them to keep on extracting. There's going to be massive corruption involved in this, though I think just like the other first 2 obstacles, this obstacle can also be smoothened out. So of course, it's something that's very interesting. I look forward to observing what is going to happen with the African Continental Free Trade Area. Let me know of your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you like this video, just make sure that of course you like it and then you share it with your friends who might want to get some information on the African Continental Free Trade Area.